The FusionWare mvLynx managed provider is a pure .NET managed provider and can be used in applications that support connections to ADO.NET data sources. This demonstration will show our managed provider being used by Microsoft SQL Server Integration Services, or SSIS for short. Microsoft Integration Services is a platform for building enterprise-level data integration and data transformation solutions, and in this case will be used to transfer sales orders from an existing MultiValue file into an existing SQL Server database. We will be using Microsoft's Nothin's database in SQL Server. In preparation for creating the data flow, we need to define our connections first. We will add first our connection to the MultiValue database and then to SQL Server. Notice that the process for creating the connections is essentially the same for both the MultiValue and SQL Server databases. The FusionWare mvLynx managed provider is shown in the list of .NET providers alongside SQL Server, Oracle, DB2, and others. We need to provide the MultiValue machine name and the name of the account containing the MultiValue file. This is not much different than defining a connection to SQL Server, where you need the name of the machine and the name of the database containing the tables. Here is the SQL Server Connection Manager. We will be using the Microsoft Nothin's database as our target. There are multiple steps to creating a data flow. Each step is accomplished with little, or in our case, no code, using only drag and drop. First, we will create the data flow object, then, within the data flow, we will map out how the data will get from the MultiValue database to the relational SQL Server database. Data flows consist of three basic stages. First, define the data flow sources, such as selecting an ADO.NET source to your MultiValue data. Second, add data flow transformations, for example data conversions, lookups, merges, and many more. Third, define the data flow destinations. Where will the data end up? One of the nice things about SSIS is the variety of sources and destinations available, including Excel, flat files, and more. Here we are going to use the connection we previously defined to our MultiValue database using the mvLynx managed provider. We will be using the MultiValue file sales order that contains both the order and order details information. Because SSIS does not support multiple tables in a single source, we will need to build multiple passes to extract the data. Using TCL syntax, we can select the specific items we need and indicate at what level of multivalues we want the data returned. The columns displayed are all the single value attributes in the sales order file that we have made available. Because our target data contains data types that are different from the source data types, we will need to do some data conversions. However, there is no need to write complex code to do this. Among the many data flow transformation tools is the data conversion tool. Using point and click, we can change strings to integers or nearly anything else in one or more steps. In this case, we will need 3 steps to convert our variable length strings into the fixed length strings that the Nothin order and order details tables use. Each data flow element is linked using the green arrows for the successful path and the red arrows to handle failures in any particular step. There are data flow transformation objects that can send email notifications out, create constant data columns where no data exists in the source data, and many other actions. SSIS does not permit a direct Unicode variable length text conversion to a fixed length string, thus requiring the multi-step process. We want to send our data to the Nothin database, so we select the ADO.NET destination. There are other destinations we can use, though, such as Excel, flat files, raw files, and many others. First, we need to select the SQL Server data source we previously configured. Then, we select the data table we want to transfer the records to, in this case, the order table. Because we have made all the data types match the destination data types, configuring the data flow destination is just a matter of drawing arrows between source data fields and target data fields. We want to be sure to use the converted fields rather than the original ones, or our data flow will not complete properly due to incompatible data types. Now we want to test the data flow by running it. As each task is started, it will turn yellow. As it is completed, it will either turn green for success or red for failure. At each stage, the number of rows affected will be displayed. All the tasks are green, and we can see that we have transferred 1,111 rows from our MultiValue database to the Nothin SQL Server database. We have successfully transferred all the single value attributes that we wanted, so all we have to do is repeat these same steps for each MultiValue set of data in the sales order file. We can use the same connection to the ShipCorp account that we used previously. Instead of bringing back the primary table, we use the same command text, but this time indicate we want order lines, a set of MultiValue attributes, returned. Because order lines is based on MultiValue attributes, the mvLynx managed provider automatically provides the original MultiValue position for each row in the dataset. This is helpful for positionally relevant data like financial period information. To make the data types compatible, we will now add the 3 necessary data conversion tasks. Because mvLynx Managed Provider is built on the standards for the .NET framework, it's designed to be multi-purpose. You can build a Windows application with VB.NET that uses Windows and third-party controls one day. The next, you can build a website in ASP.NET using C# or Silverlight, or perhaps a report based on SQL Server reporting services or Crystal reports. And in each case, you would use the same connections, methods, and tools. You won't be restricted in what tools you want to use. Any .NET DataWare controls are available in creating great applications. There's nothing new to learn. If you know how to use any .NET managed provider, mvLynx will feel comfortable right from the beginning. For the data flow destination, once again there is no difference from the previous one we created. Simply select the same target data source, select the order details table, and then draw the lines indicating where the data will flow. It is time to test our complete data flow. You can see by the way the colors change that each track is processed simultaneously. The primary completes first as it has fewer rows to write. Because there are many multivalues for each item in the MultiValue file, there are over 5,000 rows in the MultiValue table that will be inserted. We use SQL Server Management Studio to review the writes into the file. When we execute queries against the orders and order details tables, you can see that the fields we defined have been completed while the others are not. In our data flow, we could have completed these values from constants or even other data sources. On the left is the original MultiValue item for item ID 90. You can compare the values and MultiValues to the contents of the SQL Server tables. Thank you for viewing our SQL Server Integration Services demonstration using the FusionWare mvLynx Managed Provider. No code or special tools were required. Nothing but .NET.